the Akashic Records. It's all wrapped up inside a cop drama that faces its characters to confront the very nature of free will, fate, and redemption. Thomas brings a unique voice to the world of spiritual fiction. He is the author of The Artist's Manifesto, founder of Helen Hudson Foundation's focus on justice and the environment, and a creator who believes that suffering and beauty exist side by side in this world,
Mm.
and that art, spirit, and truth can guide us through both. So, welcome to the show, Thomas. It's great to have you here tonight. I trust you're well.
I am very well. Thank you so much for that beginning. I think I'm going to take you along wherever I go and have you voice that. Thank you so much for being here with me.
Oh, it's my pleasure to have you on the show. I think we've spoken before, but my first question tonight is that the karma factor opens with a detective trying to end his own life. I mean, that's pretty dynamic. And he isn't successfully. He's given us a mysterious second chance. What does this story say about karma and the unseen forces guiding us?
Well, karma is it's not what it's one of those words that has a lot of different ramifications and meanings and misunderstood. It's not like this is just my take on it. It's not that there's a police force out there. If you do something wrong, you get nailed for it or something like that. It's very much of the soul itself. And I believe that it's based on the premise that all people, all souls are basically good. And the fact when they do transgressions, it's them yourself that is punishing you, along with whatever metaphysical forces. So I had this concept. I like paradoxes, just the way you were talking about it. As a kid, I was a jock. I loved sports. I loved just regular guy things. But all of a sudden, I started having an imagination that would go into many different places. And it really brought in the whole spiritual thing, a quest of what it could be possible out there. So I had these two elements that I wanted to write a book about. And I heard about the Akashic Records. I don't know if you have been covering that, Douglas, at all, but this is a database of past lives, and it is a true and ongoing phenomena. Um, and so, what if this database of the past lifetimes could be used as a profile, like a cop uses a database for a profile? What if you could find out what somebody did, who they killed in 1412, or what they had for breakfast, or who they cheated on, or who they gave beautiful help to? All of that's there. So if this detective, he's about had it. He's got earlier voices in his head from an earlier lifetime. He's starting to go crazy. He ends off on a relationship. He takes bullets from his gun and tosses them into the fireplace, has them explode. This is all just the beginning of what he has decided to take himself out. So he goes to a situation where there's a guy with a machine gun who's ready to start, who's trigger happy, and Detective Early sets it up such that he will get killed by egging this person on. They meet in this crazy old terrible apartment. They have the showdown. The bullets are fired. Then they get diverted. All of a sudden, where he's looking for bullet holes on his chest, there's nothing there. And the bullets end up in some canyon in New Mexico.
Wow.
And he's going, what? What? Why? And all of a sudden, he's gotten the second chance. But it's so he has to figure out where those bullet went, why they did this, what karma he is needing to now address in his own life. That's a very long way of answering your question, but that's what kicks off. That's the inciting incident that sends him on this journey where he really starts figuring out what the heck is going on.
But at that point in time, and as the story goes, he really didn't have the concept of karma. He hadn't figured things out. Uh,
Right?
it was like usually with life, you have one of those mysterious, you know, oh my God, what was that all about? And then you kind of go backwards and try to unpack it. So, for someone who's heard the phrase casually, karma, as you alluded to, it's not what people normally think. So, your definition is, you know, it evolves through the whole story, and reading your information,
Yeah.
it's quite intriguing. Can you give us a few hints on how that develops along the way without giving it away?
So after this quest, he's gone from I want to take myself out to is I want to wake up. Although he doesn't know that that's the situation, but he starts trying to understand things, and he begins the environment in the characters that surround him. They are offering him little tidbits of check your calendar, see if something's there. Take a look at this. The signs that you will find. I have found in all of my life. There's this invisible hand that's out there that's guiding you if you're open enough to listen and if your intentions are good. And so he triggers one of these gestures, and he does look in his day book, and there is the word Tibet, and he didn't write it. It's in his calendar, and this triggers a dream where he goes back to his previous lifetime, where there is a secret wisdom council
Hmm.
in the 40s that has gotten together after Hitler was done. And knowing that the world was going to, that was just the beginning of more and more problems, that another strong man would come along and then another. And we, without saying it, we know what's happening here now. And they'll mess things up. And so these people have to become accountable. And so this group of poets and mystics and wise people and street urchins, just smart, out beyond the box, got together and they started figuring things out. And this is where they discovered the Akashic Records. And this is where, and Detective Early finds out that he was there as a child, being raised by this group of people in Tibet, and that they had a plan. And he begins to understand what the plan for him is back on Earth, back in now, to uh, to help out in terms of changing the karma of the planet.
So, in your book, you obviously do some, let's call it time warping, going from one time back and forth.
Yeah,
Uh, and to understanding this is set in, so a group of enlightened souls back in Tibet
right.
foresaw the future coming
Yeah,
and incorporated him, trained him, if you will, that
yeah.
he was going to be. Is he like the savior of the world, so to speak, or does he play a
You
role
know,
getting it back
I
on track?
it's a good question. I people that have read early versions of it wanted him to become a Superman. I didn't want that at all. I wanted him to be an everyday guy. I wanted him to be could be the guy next door, because this kind of wisdom is open to anyone wherever you are, whatever race, whatever whatever thing you're doing, starting to unpack the karma that has been working with you. Uh, and it's all there to actually expose things to become accountable for corruptions and transgressions, but is to grow into your natural, full, beautiful self. And so he's on this journey now, and he doesn't understand a lot of it, but as it gets closer, then he runs into a woman that he met. There's a love affair. I won't go into it too deeply, but it's bit by bit, and his job is to keep people with strong, beautiful karma alive here now. Because if we didn't have these characters whose misinformed role they feel is to control, damage, uh, do injury to and stop the natural flow, if they were not around and the good souls were here and strong and getting stronger because of support, then we would be able to move up the scale, so to speak. So his job is to protect people with really strong karma that would flip our earth scene into a much higher dynamic.
So it sort of sounds like there is a game plan,
Yeah.
and he's part of the security force, I guess, protect the people of good karma,
Yeah.
enlightenment, whatever. Is that kind of, are we on the right track when we say that?
I think that, I mean, how do you change people's karma other than to give them a glimpse of themselves that they hadn't had before and to open up the door of possibility? So his job is to change the karma of these bad folks who are doing the nasty stuff and taking out, the good die young and that kind of a whole thing. Um, his job is to somehow transfer through trickery to whatever tools he can use is to get the guy to become a little bit more aware of who he actually is, not this criminal or the behavior of someone who's really lost it and is really damaging, but that they are a soul and a beautiful soul also beneath all that stuff, and get them in contact. These bad people, although they say, oh, he's bad, he'll never be good, that's just the way he is. I don't believe that. I believe that everyone is basically good, and we've fallen on, we've taken low-hanging fruit and little transgressions, and they're little white lies, huge problems. But it's not punitive, it's just corrective. It's just that person making that decision, which I have set up in the end, which I won't tell you about. I don't, no spoilers here.
Absolutely. Buy my book, right? Yeah.
Yo, my book, The Karma Factor by Thomas Lane, right?
So in a way, karma is a process, right? It's a
Yeah.
tool that, and what you've said, I think, is very wise. Where uh, the worst of the worst will, through karmic reaction or manifestation, will become the best of the best. And so, your character, main character in the book, sounds like, does he do that? Does he convert people? Does he show them where they're going wrong, or how does he work this out with the Akashic?
Um, well, I don't want to give away too much, but if he is able to walk in that person's shoes, at one point, through various devices I have, I won't get into that. I have something called soul prints, which are like fingerprints,
Hmm.
but they are attached to the soul, and they stay with the soul through lifetime after lifetime after life. Whereas fingerprints perish, soul prints do not, and they can be tracked. It's like a detective with, you can be tracked to the database of the Akashic Records to find out who he really was and what he's really doing or not doing, or what has been done. Um, let's see, where was I going?
Well,
Oh,
the part
oh, how
where,
does he do that? Well,
yeah,
and he chains himself to a chair at some point with some device, and he just lets himself become what it's like to be this guy. He walks in his shoes, and in that way, he has compassion for him. He understands that he too, like all the rest of us, have, little sore points spiritually, a little problems here and there, whatever, unattended gardens, um, and that's how he's going to get to him, by working on the good parts of the guy. Now, this is, if a guy's, this is not to say that there is not a need for law enforcement, because there is. But this takes it just to another level with these particular bad guys who are really ruining it for all of us, and getting them to have a little bit of an awareness that changes the vector of the pursuit of power or control or death or whatever he's doing, to have a little second thought, which takes him away from being so powerful.
well, that's a good point. Everybody has some good inside them. Even the mafiosa have
Hmm.
friends within their gangs, right? I mean, they're terrible monsters for
Yeah.
what they do, but hey, they have brotherly love for one another. And so I
True.
think if that's what you're going with this man can get inside their soul and maybe appeal to that part that says, you know, you might want to kill somebody, but let's not kill today. You know, let's
Rain check.
let's wait it out, rain check,
Rain check.
and see if we can negotiate or do something else.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
for our viewers who are grasping this idea of the Akashic field or the records, the tree of life, some might call it,
Yeah.
the universal library. Can you elaborate a little about that to help people who might be quite, you know, a little bit unsure of what
Yeah.
you mean when you talk about this field, this area of
Yeah.
Akashic?
You know, nobody nobody that I've read can say for sure what it is. It is mysterious, and as far as I'm totally okay with it being mysterious. But the concept is that it's an energized field that contains all the information through all the lifetimes of every soul that has walked the face of the earth, which is just a mind blowing concept. In that you could, as I said earlier, find out, who you were or who this person was, in 1800, or in the Roman times, or as a caveman or whatever, and see the progression and how the person has gone from king to rebel to Cleopatra to not Cleopatra. But it's an incredible device, and there are many people who believe it's an ongoing thing that you can tap into now, and that I've had a session or two with doing that myself, and it's in one way you could say it's access to your higher self, um, to know about a little bit more about where you've been and who you are. You can ask any kind of question. It's a storehouse of wisdom, um, but it's a mind blowing thing, and it's a beautiful, beautiful concept.
Well, certainly it would help if, let's say, you have an issue in your own life and you want to know why uh, things make you angry or
Yeah,
circumstances you fall into. You have this judgment or this habit or talent. And if you go back in time, like going back in your memory and finding out,
yeah,
and I recall when you were a kid, you know, something happened to you, somebody embarrassed you, you peed your pants, and so therefore
yeah.
an issue for the rest of your life. I guess that's what you're sort of going at, or what some people believe the Akashic is: all thoughts, all words, all deeds recorded. And if you can go back and find out that, ha ha, you know, you used to be the bad guy.
Right. That's very true.
So,
If somebody finds themselves sleepwalking and they can't figure out why they're doing it, and all of a sudden, when they go back in time, they find out in 1612 that they had to learn to escape some kind of treatment, and so they would, even when they were in bed asleep, they had to get some kind of rational, practical thing that was actually necessary back then, or that was unfortunate back then. And you keep playing those records over, those recordings over and over again through lifetime after lifetime. And what this whole thing about the karma factor is that you try to take the record off the skipping needle that keeps reciting same thing over and over. You take it and you put it on a new song, and you give that person a chance in that area to live again and anew.
well, you know, God in its infinite wisdom certainly isn't. I created a bunch of souls, and I'm just going to burn up a few who make a mistake. I think it would be more like to give them a second or a third or a fourth or a fifth chance, even to try to get it right. And I guess
Absolutely.
this detective, as he's going through his episodes, he comes across a Tibetan monk. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh, Paulden, yeah. So I had visualized. I have a great affinity for Tibet. I've done a lot of reading in Buddhism, and I'm saddened by what's happened over there. But the thought that after World War II, this is all subject. This is just my fiction. That there was a renegade monk who was watching from a very high perspective, and when he looked into the future, he would say, that war is over. We won that war, but the battle has barely begun, and there'll be another strong man, and there'll be more and more trouble for our civilization. And so what he gets this group together of people that he's been in touch with for years, who are all talking about the same thing. And he thinks, well, away from pressures in society and pure competition, all that, we're going to get these incredible people together from different walks, from Buddhism to a poet, to from a woman who can read people's tarot cards. I would just have this magnificent garden of wisdom, and figure out what they can do. And this group, led by Paulden, the monk, found access that there wasn't just a mystical myth. There actually was something called the Akashic realm. And in my simplicity, I kept it as a physical, not a physical, but a library made of light. All the books, everybody's book has a book there that has all their incarnations in it. And so he's going to be able to find out who we need to target in terms of improving the condition.
Well, not to get to whether he was successful or not, we'll assume he was, but we'll leave that cliffhanger to the very end. You know, you suggest people in your novel, people can find ways to make amends across lifetimes.
Yeah,
Is that part of humanity's spiritual evolution?
I think so. One of the things that I always learn from writing stuff, because a lot of it's intuitive, and so I'm putting stuff out there that I haven't really accessed just by myself, and then I look back and I read what I've written. I went, oh, that's interesting. That's that invisible hand that's
It's
helping.
Words from the Akashic.
Yeah, right. So I keep losing my train of thought.
People make amends across lifetimes.
Oh, that's what it was. So that, if what you had hoped to achieve in one lifetime, it's not all despairing. Oh, I failed. Maybe it just wasn't in the karma cards, so to speak. And that the next lifetime you will complete that. It's just that there are many different occasions where something can happen, and you're not limited to just one lifetime. And the possibilities go on and on forever about, who and what you can become and who you really are. And that's all. That will take more than one lifetime. It's just one card in the deck.
Well, the way people behave in my observations, including myself, it's going to take more than one other second chance as far as I'm concerned. We're going to take a short break, and I'm going to ask you a question about, can people amend this? Can they, in their human evolution or spiritual evolution?
Sure.
We're going to take a short break, and where can people get your books, Thomas? Where can they find them?
Amazon, for sure. I also have a website, which is thomaslane.com. And here it is.
There it is. Beautiful.
The Karma Factor. It says, amongst timeless vision, who we've talked about, an assassin's revenge, a New York cop caught in the middle. This has a story by itself. It took 30 years for me to actually finish this thing, but here we are.
Okay, and we'll be right back after this short break.
Are you searching for clarity, wisdom, and a deeper understanding of the spiritual world around you? Meet Douglas James Cottrell, PhD, a visionary author and teacher who's helped countless people transform their lives. His books are a gateway to profound insights, offering guidance, inspiration, and the tools you need to unlock your full potential. From unlocking your intuition to discovering spiritual truths, Douglas's books are your trusted companions on the path to personal growth. Don't wait. Start your journey today. Visit his website douglasjamescottrell.com to explore and purchase his life-changing work. Your next breakthrough is just a page away.
So, Thomas, just before the break, we were talking about, making amends across lifetimes, part of
Yeah.
the Akashic field or record in the process. So, do people have unfinished karma? I think that's a rhetorical question, but to people who are listening, might not understand that, or might need further explanation. And by the way, my friends, don't forget the chat line is open. You can send in your chat to Oz, who's here producing the show, and your questions will be asked of Thomas when we get a chance here. When you come in, Oz will let me know. So that's another opportunity, Thomas, we offer to the audience that they can ask you a question directly.
Sure.
So, as such, is there such a thing as, unfinished karma? And can people, rhetorically speaking, find a way what that is and how to finish it?
I I think so. I think it's a wonderful tool. I mean, there's so many ways of framing the journey towards higher ground. It's one of the tools that, by being aware of, I'll give you a very personal story with this. I have I have been quite solitary. I stepped off the grid, and I found a way of navigating without getting too involved in the world, and that was fine, except that there was something that was nagging me about, you got to get out there. You got to put your face. You got to put your heart and your soul. You can't just do it from 20 feet back. And so this whole book of publishing, I have stacks and stacks of songs and music and poetry and other things sitting around, and they're all just been collecting. And now, and even movie possibilities. But I didn't want to get out there. And so I had to do a lot of soul searching about why this was going on, and the fact that I needed and wanted. I mean, I'm very social, actually, but wanted to get out there and start doing the podcasts and doing whatever it is that took my handling to do. And this was, I had to figure out what is going on with me, not like as punitive, but just as a way of finding out about how I work and what I can do to improve that. And the one thing I must say is that having a North Star, why you are doing this, why am I willing to risk this and that, to do things that I feel are dangerous or scary or hard to confront, because I have a North Star, and the North Star is what the potential for me as an enlightened being might be, you know. So it's always there, and what you've done in the past is all can be forgiven, as long as you can be accountable for it. I think that's the key.
So, as in your book, the police officer is making people accountable. I'm assuming he's waking them up so they can see what they're doing is counterproductive. And with your understanding, as people explore the idea of karma and redemption, think about that policeman who's wanting to terminate his own life. He goes in a situation where he's going to be, death by criminal, and he stares death down, and something happened, and it stared right back at him, and then you know, this whole episode unfolded. Kind of like, off the philosophical, out of the philosophical box. Would that be not considered as karma? That he went there and faced it, he met it, and then it changed.
Yeah,
And those bullets went mysteriously far, far away.
yeah. He had, without giving too much away, when in his past lifetime, when he was just a child, he did something that alerted the Red Chinese at this particular point to find the monastery where this group of mystics and wise people were hanging out, trying to get to the bottom of what is the soul and how does it work. And so, by his transgression, which was ironically done out of love, but nevertheless led to these people damaging or annihilating the mission that was going on, he had a karma debt. And when he found out, when he actually saw what had happened, he just cut the line. He went into his room, turned off the lights. He didn't talk. He didn't pick up the phone. He barely ate, and he just soaked in it. And he just absorbed it, and he just felt the horror that his innocent in a way behavior, but nevertheless broke the rules of that particular mission, and that he would then live to do make up the damage by being part of the experiment of being having access as an Earth person to the Akashic records and to be tracing criminals down through spiritual means.
Mm. It's sort of accountability, on and a very unique way of writing about it in your novel. I know it's a work of fiction, but it sounds pretty close to some of the truisms that are out there in the spiritual world.
Yeah, it's fiction and it's real. I mean, fiction is only powerful for me, science fiction, if it relates to something that's very real. I have uh, other books and movies and stuff that hinge on something like I have a, a basketball thing where the athletes are starting to use RNA of wild animals
Wow.
to make their game better as a enhancement drug. So a great white shark's RNA in a basketball player would make him just tear up the court. Anyway, but it wouldn't have any power because it's actually slightly feasible and it comes out of real reality.
Well, it's fascinating. The book is called The Karma Factor, and it's available on Amazon, my friend. So if you're
Right.
interested in a good read, I think this is it. Your story, I believe, Thomas, is ultimately about hope. What
Yeah.
kind of hope are you talking about? Spiritual, social, or something entirely different?
We're going through a hard time, to say the least. Um, I just think that this calls for all of us in whatever fashion, whatever way is meaningful and of the temperament of whoever that individual is do add an extra oomph, an extra hope, an extra blessing. That to live without hope, I mean, I was thinking about what is the future if it's so confused the way it is. It's almost like there is no, where we used to put all our hopes and dreams and everything into the future. Now it's so crazy. We don't know what with AI and everything else. It's almost like the future has abandoned us. This is the way it sometimes feels to me. And so where is hope when the future when the future used to be the storehouse for hope? I'm gonna get that, I'm gonna make money. I'm gonna have a great relationship. I'm gonna win the karate uh, contest. You know, without that, there's just so little motivation to do things. So I'm a total believer in hope, even practical or theoretical, whatever. The odds are tough, and we have to be tougher as spiritual beings. But even it can be just that extra wave to the postman, just something else that brings a little light. It can be out there with signs. I went to a No Kings March the other day, and I was very happy. 30,000 people in Providence, Rhode Island, and we have to find ways of being happy despite all this stuff, finding joy. So I am learning to navigate with that in mind.
Well, some of those sayings, stand up to the strong when they're in the wrong, make concessions for the weak. They're kind of like spiritual lessons on karma, and the idea that these people who are the enablers of what might be considered a distancing between the president and the president becoming a king, or whatever the term might be. Uh, you know, Americans are Americans, and the Constitution was there for everybody to protect their rights equally. But every now and then, like your book, there's needs to be a little correction spot. There needs to be something,
I like that.
let's get back on the path, my friends.
Yeah,
So, I'm kind of thinking maybe your book was a little bit of a foretelling of this in the world, the world being off the beaten path right now. Do you think there might be some parallels with your writing and what's presently going on in the world?
very much so. I have felt these forces. I've been around for a while, and I've felt these forces sort of rising up, rippling on the fringes, and then moving closer and closer, and then here they are. And it's on the one hand, it's completely understandable and almost unavoidable that this would happen, along with the climate change. At the same time, just what you're saying is that if you dig deep enough, at least for me, this is true, then there is hope. There's always hope, because that's the truth. The truth is that we walk in miracle here. Well, this is astonishingly beautiful planet, and the one thing we have not learned yet is how to get along with people who have differences. Like tribal, like looks, like race, like color. These things we have never learned to deal with that. That's omitted information. And my dream would be that there's a wake up call about we need to get together now. We absolutely need to rise to this occasion. And art is a beautiful way of cheering people on and holding the light up. And what you do, and what many people that I've met, people that work with homeless folks. I have the Helen Hudson Foundation, which I founded. Um, it works with homeless people, and we're trying to get something done in terms of television for that. But yeah, it was very much part of that book. I wanted to show the dark side with this serial killer guy, but also, with Paulden and James Early, the detective, who he's torn between these two impulses to get revenge and then to save, and he has to fight down this because this guy has killed his mother, the detective's mother, the bad guy has. So he is ready to get even, and he has to no, no, that's not their job. Their job is not to catch bad guys, but to create good karma.
I guess to have good karma, it's going to take that magic word patience.
Yeah.
And I understand the learning of patience, as my teacher once told me was my karma, takes a little time.
Yeah. And you learned that one well?
Not yet.
Good for you.
I think
I,
it. I think it might be a little baggage that I'll hold over to next time. So,
well,
but
you're maybe teaspoons, just little teaspoons of it, just keep you going.
I did ask them, and this is to my chagrin here. I said, "Oh, that's all I need to learn, patience. How long will it take?"
Perfect.
Oh my
Perfect.
God. So listen, let's take another short break. When we come back, we'll ask Oz if there's any questions from the chat. We'll take
Okay.
another break and we'll be right back after this.
Sounds good.
Did you know that Dr. Douglas James Cottrell has several other weekly channels where you can participate? Check out his Sunday International Spiritual Healing Service on Zoom. And you might also enjoy the Wake Up Podcast, exploring human consciousness, awareness, and intuition with Dr. Douglas and co-host Les Hubert. Just go to douglasjamescottrell.com and select the link to the material of most interest to you.
And we're back. We'll ask Oz if there's any uh, questions in the chat.
We got a couple of questions here. One question came up, is there a way around karma?
Why would one want to do that? As opposed to working with it.
Well, I'm thinking, could a person maybe learn something instead of having to go through it? Maybe if they took a course in,
Oh,
how to develop themselves and gain patience, and they took a
I
class in patience, they wouldn't have to have the karmic lesson.
Oh, I think that's, yeah. I mean, the reason for karma, one might say, is to uplift the soul, to get you. If there's a way that you can become a stronger, more compassionate, more realized self, then you have done the work, then if that situation triggers again, you will be more able to just be there with it and not have to trigger you, because you're stronger, you're more self-aware, etc. I hope that answers your question.
I'm going to add to that, Thomas, that intellectually, uh, the question would be how can I avoid something that's distasteful or harmful or difficult? Um, but karma doesn't work that way.
Right.
You might agree, it's kind of like it's the way it is. You have done something in a previous existence, and this is the consequence of what you've done. So maybe if you would agree, Thomas, the way to change future karma is to change today.
Yeah, I think for my money, there's no hard and fast rules. Karma is instruction,
Good
is a
point.
way of um, getting you to look at something that you may not have looked at. It's not punitive. It's not like bad person. Oh, it's like, oh, look what's there, and that's something that you can work with in many different ways. Um, but that it's instructive. It's not destructive.
But people can make amends, right, as they go
Sure.
forward.
Well, just by doing more that furthers your realization. The more realized you are, the better you are to, and hopefully the influences of that spread out, and so there's goodness occurring.
So it mitigates the karma rather than gets around it, maybe. So,
Exactly, exactly.
okay, Oz, you have another one? You're muted.
There we go. Yeah, I had a insight. This is from me. What you were saying reminded me of the movie Groundhog Day. Have you ever seen that?
Yes, I have it. That's a
With
really good example.
Bill Murray, and
Yeah,
he keeps trying everything. A couple times he just kills himself. He jumps off a building or whatever
right.
he did, and came back, woke up the next morning, and he had to keep going. So that was a great, good show.
Yeah, it's a good metaphor. How he went through it and through it and through it and through it, and he finally got it right after lots of work, and then he was free. And I think that's worthwhile.
Yeah. Here's the question. Can someone learn about karma by reading the book, or is the book just fiction?
I would say it's a mixture. I mean, the reason I wrote it is because in there was something in me that wanted to talk about possibilities. Uh, I find that being able to live and experience and even create lots of possibilities for expansion, for not just going through the same motions over and over, that there might be this other possibility of wise people who were working with karma, and there's other ways of doing that. I think it might get you in the spirit, I would hope so, that you want to find out more about the karma, about yourself. He really has to go through this detective. He's really tortured about what he's done, and it gets across everything. And so, that might be inspirational to you, is that he finally does get it right.
Makes sense. Oz, you have another one?
That's all I have right now.
Okay. Well, listen, we have a couple more segments on the show. Next segment is Meeting of King Charles and Pope Leo the 14th. Uh, we're going to talk a little bit about that. And then a little further in the show, we're going to talk a bit about wisdom and virtue
Mm.
when knowledge becomes light. If you'd like to stick around, Thomas, we'll discuss these in the next part. But tell us once again where people can get that amazing
Yeah,
book called The Karma Factor. That's a great
right.
cover. There you go, my
The
friend.
karma factor, we were trying to figure out, because it's got the gritty stuff and it's got the holy stuff, um, what is it? And we came up, it's a metaphysical thriller, which I actually really like, that combines both aspects. So it's the karma factor. You can get it at Amazon. You can get it, order it from my website, which is thomaslane.com. And thanks for asking. Um,
Okay.
God bless.
It's been a pleasure to have you on the show again, everybody. Uh, Thomas is an extraordinary conversationalist and for weaving deep spiritual questions into a suspenseful and soulful read. The Karma
Ah,
Factor is a journey through time, I would say, and the human heart welcomes it. I'm sure it will inspire many of our viewers to look at their own karma with fresh eyes.
yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
If you can find the book wherever you can get visionary fiction, or head on over to Thomas Lane's website or go to Amazon.com. We're going to take another brief break, and if you care to stay with us, Thomas,
Okay.
you're welcome to do so. But thank you for being a wonderful guest on the show tonight.
Thanks for your wonderful show and all the best.
God
Thank you
bless.
so much.
Okay, we'll be right back after this.
Are you searching for clarity, wisdom, and a deeper understanding of the spiritual world around you? Meet Douglas James Cottrell, PhD, a visionary author and teacher who's helped countless people transform their lives. His books are a gateway to profound insights, offering guidance, inspiration, and the tools you need to unlock your full potential. From unlocking your intuition to discovering spiritual truths, Douglas's books are your trusted companions on the path to personal growth. Don't wait. Start your journey today. Visit his website douglasjamescottrell.com to explore and purchase his life-changing work. Your next breakthrough is just a page away.
Welcome back, everyone. And Thomas is staying with us here for the next segment. Meeting of King Charles III and Pope Leo the 14th was an amazing event. We can jump a little bit and say it was a karmic event because it was 500 years ago when Henry VIII and the Pope at the time had a schism, and they basically parted ways. It's amazing that here at this point in time, that we're coming back, sort of, I guess you could say, making amends for the world. So let's turn our attention to unfolding the world of faith and royalty that beckons us for a spiritual reflection. It was October the 23rd, 2025, in England's King Charles III knelt in prayer alongside the Pope, Leo the 14th, in a sacred place of the Sistine Chapel. It was the first time a British monarch of the Church of England has prayed publicly with a Roman Catholic Pope since King Henry VIII, again, 500 years ago. Think of the weight of that time gap. 500 years of division, mistrust, theological wars, political power plays, and yet now, here we are, witnessing a step towards unity. Why does this matter for us? Not just observers of history, but as souls journeying towards wholeness. Well, first, it's a symbol of healing. of the secret desire that fractures can mend. Two traditions, one once estranged, grasp hands in prayer. The message speaks to our own inner divisions, the parts of us that resist, that rebel, and feel abandoned or betrayed. If kings and popes can seek reconciliation, so can our spirits. And second, is it a recognition of the global spiritual significance of the Church in the modern era? The King, head of the Church of England, met the Pope at a time when faith is scrutinized, institutions are questioned, and the soul seeks authenticity. Their meeting shows that even the highest seats of power sense the need to align not just with doctrine, but with purpose, with creation, and with peace. And third, notice that the theme of this creation in the joint statements, their prayer in the chapel occurring under the fresco of the Last Judgment. Yet they turn their attention to creation, environment, humanity, and the divine humanities. The Pope was born in the USA, first American-born pontiff in modern times, meeting the British King. It signals a shift in the landscape of spiritual leadership. The fact that the Pope comes from America adds a layer. No longer is the spiritual center strictly in one region. This is global, universal. It says to us the Spirit moves beyond geography. And so I ask you, my friends, what might this mean for you? In your own life, where have you been living as a divided person between beliefs, communities, identities? Tonight's an invitation to kneel where unity needs impossible and discover what prayer might be for the first step, not in a chapel, but within your own heart. When a king bows, the soul wonders, can I also bow? Stay with that thought tonight, and we'll circle back to it perhaps later. Let's keep your hearts open as we move into the next segment. But first, I'm going to ask Thomas for his take on what he thinks of this monumental spiritual event between the King of England and the Pope.
Well, it plays into our former discussion, but I think that it's a world out of communication, and that it's the camps are divided more and more into silos or tribes or whatever, and so any bridge that can be built across disparate lines or just lines that have not met each other heart to heart is a good thing. I feel that almost the greatest loser in all of what's going on is the loss of intimacy. And the loss of intimacy goes right across the boards between to yourself, to your partner, to your culture, to your world, to your planet. And these are kingmakers. These are well, kings and leaders. They have influence. And so I think it's really positive.
I agree. I think it's a monumental time. I think it's one of those events that's marked by the significance of two great spiritual heads of organizations, the Catholic Church, the Church of England, coming together and kneeling in prayer in unity. Two men, humbled, kneeling and asking God Almighty for peace. Something to consider when we wonder about our divisions. So as we move forward from this monumental event, don't let it get lost on you, my friends. It's a sign of the times, as they say. Okay, this is the last segment of the show. It's Thomas. We have a little a segment where we talk about the spiritual lessons or virtues. Tonight is wisdom and virtue when knowledge becomes light.
Sounds good.
Now, my friends, let's step inward to a place where true awakening happens. The world treasures knowledge, database, degrees, facts, information. but the Spirit honors something deeper. Wisdom, pardon me. Listen to the words of the apostle in 1 Corinthians 12 and 13. We read of spiritual gifts and of the wisdom of the Spirit. That is distinct from the wisdom of the age. Wisdom is not simply knowing more, it's knowing well. It is a vibration of inner alignment with truth, courage, and love. Virtue in this context becomes the external flower of hidden roots. When the soul cultivates patience, mercy, integrity, generosity, those are the masks of the life touched by wisdom. What does this look like? It might look like someone refusing to gossip when everyone else does. It might look like choosing peace when the world demands war. It might look like silent service, not seeking recognition, but being the hand behind the help. The truth is, we don't become wise by accident. We commit, we open, we listen, and we sometimes fail, because true wisdom often arrives through brokenness. Someone once said to me, in order for God to build up the spirit, God first breaks you down and then builds you up. So tonight I invite you to ask yourself, what have I learned that hasn't yet become wisdom? Where in my life is knowledge disconnected from compassion? What virtue needs to rise from the shadow of my ego? Hey, if you feel a tug towards deeper alignment, lean into it. Wisdom begins when you stop wanting to prove and start wanting to serve. And remember, wisdom doesn't scream, it whispers. Through your quiet moments, your stillness, your willingness to bridge the gap between what you know and what you are. Let the whisper grow tonight. It's important that you pass this wisdom on to your friends. We trust you enjoyed the show tonight. It's been a pleasure to have Thomas on and also to stay on a little overtime here as we come to the close of the show. And so as we draw to the evening, end of the evening, we looked outward at kings, popes, and their prayers, and we've looked inward at wisdom and virtue. The spoken stir of the world, the unspoken stir of the soul. If any part of tonight touched you, awakened you, or urged you to change, hold on to it. Don't talk yourself out of it. It's your anchor. We're about to launch into the next show for next week, and I'm thrilled to mention that you'll hear voices from Seth Stewart and Lisa Nidger, each bringing unique windows into the soul's landscape. And remember, your questions matter. If you're watching live, you can drop them in the chat, but we're near the end of the show now. So if you're listening here afterwards, email us at thesoulreport@gmail.com. Again, that's thesoulreport@gmail.com, and we'll read them out on next week's show. We had a couple of people send in emails to us, which we weren't able to get to tonight, but we will next week. So my friends, subscribe, like, share this broadcast with someone who could use a reminder. You are not alone. You are not forgotten. You are part of the story. On behalf of our producer, Jack Balick, myself, and our very talented guest, Thomas Lane, we wish you peace and prosperity.
Amen.
God bless. Until next time.